UFC Saudi Arabia was supposed to be a spectacular fight night. We were supposed to have an awesome main event that had title implications, a co-main event that also has title implications. And I know I said implications instead of implications, but this is what it is, and this is actually my third time recording this video. But the first time my headphones didn't connect to the computer, so I did the entire thing with no audio. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC Saudi Arabia fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings plays. But before we talk about this fight card, let's talk about the last one. Let's highlight the wild success that we have been having with our ownership projections. If you are here for DraftKings fantasy advice and information, then you know how wildly important DraftKings ownership projections are. And you should also know that we quite literally have the best in the game. Week in and week out, I do this video and several others where I show you our ownership projections. I show you the numbers, and I show you how well we did. We're destroying the Awesomos, the Roto Grinders, and these giant DFS companies that are charging $100 a month, that are charging hundreds when you include other sports and their optimizer. We quite literally have the best ownership projections on planet Earth and the greatest value in this space or any other sports betting space on planet Earth. You can unlock the ownership projections for UFC Saudi Arabia right now. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. 1 month includes UFC Saudi Arabia, UFC 303, the Macy Barber card, an entire month for $10. These ownership projections have been helping our community destroy, clean up, make some very real money, almost $600,000 in winnings from premium members over the last 8 months. You can join them. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. You will instantly unlock the DraftKings Optimizer, which will build lineups for you. Anywhere from 1 lineup to 150 lineups with just a couple clicks of the button. Everything I just mentioned, a million other things that I did not mention, $10 for an entire month. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. Let's go ahead and break down this card. I mentioned we've had 4 swap fights. We have a new main event. We have 3 other fights that have new opponents, and then we have a fight that completely dropped off this card, which was actually going to be pretty solid. And opening up the UFC Saudi Arabia fight card, we have Xiao taking on Chang Li. This is the road to the UFC tournament finals. The road to the UFC is a tournament in Asia. They bring in a bunch of regional guys, they have them fight, and they try to build themselves a superstar. And this is the final. And this is an interesting fight because we have some very wild line movement here. We've had Long and Lee swap back and forth between underdog and favorite. We had a minus 170 underdog become a favorite. Lots of movement. And I kind of get why, because Xiao has all the experience in the world, at least in this fight. He's got 34 fights. His opponent has 9. And in that 34 fights, he's learned a few things. He's very well-rounded. He's a composed guy. He wrestles more than he doesn't. He will always go to the wrestling if he's in a little bit of trouble. And once he gets there, he'll grind, he'll work. He's not dangerous, but he will survive, and he will grind out decisions. He is the favorite right now. He was the underdog just a few days ago. And what's interesting about that is he's taking on Chang Li. Chang Li was supposed to be the Korean Khabib. He fancies himself as a wrestler. Problem is he has no takedown defense, at least in the tape study that I did. I've seen him defend takedowns or try to defend takedowns and look to strike. I have not seen him be the Korean Khabib. Shoot a million takedowns, grind. I saw that on the other side of this, to the point where I thought maybe I got something wrong. Am I breaking down the wrong tape? Did I confuse their names? But I went back, I did all the tape study again, and that's not what I saw. Chang Li is Jacob's underdog lock of the week. And I think he's a solid underdog. I think this fight is an absolute coin flip of a fight. I am going to be on the other side. If you think that Lee wrestles hard, if you think that Long wrestles hard, then one of them should be in your lineup because, as we know, DraftKings scores wrestling really well. I am on the Long side. I think Long gets it done. I don't know if I'm going to have him in my lineup. Then we have Magomed Gadzhiyasulov taking on Brendson Ribeiro. Magomed Gadzhiyasulov, dude, Vacation Ange is crushing these names. I didn't even stutter. Good for me. Nasty striker. He's a very dangerous striker who hits very, very hard. He has some wrestling if he needs it as well. He will plot forward, take his time. He's a technical guy. And then when he gets loose, when he lets his hands go, he connects, and you are in some trouble. And I think he wins this fight, and I think $9,300 will be money well spent because he is fighting Brendson Ribeiro. This is a guy who is an offensive striker. He moves forward. He will throw, but he also gets hit a lot and hard. And his chin doesn't always hold up. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but he doesn't have the takedowns to get it there or the takedown defense to keep things standing if he wants. I think Brendson Ribeiro is a decent dog. I think he's a guy that's well-rounded enough. He's certainly dangerous on the feet and on the ground, but I think he's just hit too often and too hard to survive this fight. I think he is going to get knocked out here, and I am going to spend the $9,200 on the other side of this fight. Then we have Muin Gafurov taking on Kang. Muin Gafurov hasn't gotten a win yet in the UFC. He's looking for his first UFC win, but his losses are quality. A short notice loss to Sexy Mexi, his nickname, not mine, and then a submission loss to Said Nurmagomedov, where he actually looked to wrestle. And the wrestling is the key in this fight and most other fights, because Muin Gafurov is a wrestler, but sometimes he just chooses not to. Sometimes he'll just hang out, slug it out, stand there, bombing away, losing complete control of everything that's happening in that fight. Then try to wrestle a little later when he's already exhausted and it's too late. Muin Gafurov is a very good fighter that hasn't had the opponent or the matchup yet that suits his style. He may get it here. He's taking on Kang. Kang is a patient, low-volume striker who does have that big one-punch knockout power. I think Muin's chin should hold up if Kang lands that big power, and I do think Muin is going to wrestle here. He looked to wrestle in his last fight. He just got sucked up in that guillotine. Kang will keep the kicks out there. He will try to keep distance, try to keep range, and then lunge in with that big power, and then try to put your lights out. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think he'll just be outworked, taken down, out-volumed. I don't think the power is going to matter much in this fight. And if you go through his losses, that's what they look like. He's a durable guy that can withstand. He can survive. He'll try to land the power, and if he can't, he doesn't. I think Muin Gafurov gets his first UFC win here. I wish he was a little more affordable. $8,500 isn't quite what I would have liked to see. I was hoping for $8,000 I'd spend. So I'll see what my lineup looks like, but I do think Muin gets it done. Then we have Rinat Fakhretdinov taking on Nicolas Dalby. Listen, Rinat's going to be in your lineup. He's going to be in mine. He should be in yours. I could just move on there. I should address his last fight. In his last fight, you're going to see, wow, only one takedown. That's bizarre. And it is bizarre. That's not normally his style. The reason he only had one takedown is because he dropped Elijah Zaleski early. Hit him in the face, dropped him. And then was like, holy shit, I might be able to knock this guy out. And then he chased the knockout the rest of the fight. Turns out he couldn't knock him out. Turns out when he's striking, he gets tired as hell. So he gassed. And the third round comes around. He almost gets finished, gives up a 10-8. It ends up being a draw. But if we work through his scoring here, he scored 67 points in that fight and wasn't the winner. There was no winner. 67 points with no win bonus. 130 in the fight before that. 130 in the fight before that. 109 against Andreas Michailidis. Rinat Fakhretdinov is an absolute DraftKings gold mine. He will be in my lineup. But he does have an interesting fight because he's taking on Nicolas Dalby. Nicolas Dalby's not great anywhere, but he is good everywhere. Right? He doesn't suck, but he's not phenomenal. His takedowns are just okay. Takedown defense, less than okay. Striking, okay. Grappling, okay. He's good everywhere. He's a durable guy, but I don't think it's going to matter here. He is coming off of that very nice come-from-behind win where he just derailed the hype train of Gabriel Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim's supposed to be that guy. Supposed to show up. The Bonfim brothers are going to do their thing to Bash Brothers. Blah, blah, blah. Gabriel destroyed Nicolas Dalby early, then gassed. Nicolas Dalby survived, got the win. That could happen here. We just watched Rinat gas, but we watched Rinat gas because he was trying to knock somebody out instead of wrestle. He's just going to wrestle here. I imagine he's just going to wrestle, and that's why I think he's going to be worth that $9,200. Then we have Magomed Naimov taking on a short notice opponent. And we'll get to that side in a second. Magomed Naimov was supposed to fight a striker with no takedowns whatsoever, takedown defense. And he was going to shoot a bunch of takedowns, get it to the ground, and then dominate. But here he is, $8,300. That's favorite pricing. It's close, but it's favorite pricing. He's the underdog. He's currently the underdog against a 125-pounder that's stepping up on short notice, going up 2 weight classes essentially. Magomed Naimov is a guy that can wrestle, does have some big power. The issue, though, the reason he's a little sketchy here is he can get beat. He can get beat up. He can get dropped. He can find himself in some trouble. Little baby boy Nathaniel Wood dropped him. Little baby boy Nathaniel Wood gave him some trouble. Magomed had to cheat a little bit to get through that fight. He did get through it. He did win that fight. And I do think Magomed Naimov wins this fight as well. But this is a tricky fight. This is a tough fight. This is not just an easy walk in the road. You would say, oh, he's got a short notice guy. That's 2 weight classes below him at times. This should be easy. And it is not. Because he is taking on Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima is very good. He's a very slick striker. He's a good grappler as well. You can watch him shoot doubles, pick people up, run them across the cage, and drop them. You'll watch him work in his spinning attacks. He's got good jiu-jitsu, good striking, good wrestling, all the things that you want in a fighter. He is small. He is stepping up on short notice. And I think that's going to matter here. I like Muhammad Naimov to win this fight. I do wish we would have gotten the underdog pricing on him since he is an underdog in real life, but that's just not how DraftKings pricing works, and that actually is going to work out for us in a couple of fights that I break down in a second here. But I am going to go the Naimov side. I fully understand the love for Felipe Lima. He's very good. If this was not short notice, if this was at his natural weight class, we'd be having a different conversation. But it is, and it isn't. So I like Naimov, and I'll probably have him in my lineup. Then we have Jared Gordon taking on Nasrat Haqparast. Jared Gordon, decent fighter. He is being brought in to lose. That's what's happening here. But I don't think you should factor that into your DraftKings entry just yet. Jared Gordon's got decent striking, decent wrestling, pretty good everywhere. Again, another one of these guys that's not great anywhere. He is better than people give him credit for, and frankly, should be on a 4-fight win streak. He just beat Olympic wrestler Mark Madsen. The Bobby Green, no decision, that was a headbutt. And he was beating Bobby Green before that headbutt. The Paddy Pimblett loss, that was a bad decision. He beat Paddy Pimblett. Had the 3 takedowns, landed some decent strikes. He beat Paddy Pimblett. That was a bad decision. The loss to Grant Dawson, that was just a bona fide loss. He lost that fight. Obviously, he was submitted. But Jared Gordon is better than people give him credit for. He's sneaky good. I don't think it's going to matter here, though, because he's taking on Nasrat Haqparast. And Nasrat Haqparast is a good striker. He's got good volume, landing almost 6 significant strikes per minute. Great takedown defense at 78%. And he's the type of guy that all of a sudden found his power in his last fight. He knocked the eyebrows clean off of Jamie Malarkey's head. He sat down at a punch, landed that big power. Usually he's moving. He's a busy guy that keeps his hands out there, but he sat down, landed that punch. In this fight, if he sits down, he can land that punch. Jared Gordon's been knocked out before, can be knocked out again. But if he plants too long, hangs out too long, he could potentially get shot on. And obviously we don't want that for him. That's not something that we want. I do think Nasrat wins this fight. I don't think he's necessarily worth this price tag. He knocked out Jamie Malarkey, but that was quick, fast, and in a hurry. And Jamie Malarkey kind of sucks. The Landon Quinones fight, he got his leg chewed up. And that was a fight that he should have ran through that dude and didn't. The John Makdessi fight, similar story. He had to go to his wrestling there. He had to get some takedowns because Makdessi, who's a good kickboxer, had a little bit of success. I think Nasrat wins this fight. I'm confident he wins this fight. I'm not spending $9,000 on him because his scoring is suspect at best. Then we have Johnny Walker taking on Volkan Oezdemir. This is a fight that has a lot of the community split. Johnny Walker, wild, fun, creative guy. He's 6'6". He uses every bit of that to be dangerous for his grappling, for his wrestling, for his striking. He will spin, he will jump, he will do all the things you could ever want somebody to do while entertaining you in a fistfight. Problem is he's unreliable and a little bit chinny. He just got finished by Ankalaev. Before that, there was the weird situation with the no contest. He's the kind of guy that you can't necessarily trust or rely on, but he is wildly dangerous, and he should be in your large field GPP lineups. Johnny Walker is a guy that can beat anybody on any day. He could be a world champion if he shows up ready to go on the right day. He is taking on Volkan Oezdemir. Volkan Oezdemir is a guy that has been knocked out. I think is chinny, and people are saying he's not. But he's also a dangerous guy. Volkan Oezdemir has some very powerful hands, some good striking, decent wrestling. Volkan Oezdemir is a guy that all of his losses are quality. Oh, he lost to Ankalaev, could be the next champ. He lost to Yuri Prohashka, was a champ. Dominic Reyes, listen, fought for a title, back on track. Lost to Smith, that's a quality loss. Daniel Cormier, former champion. He is losing to title challengers and champions. Johnny Walker would be an interesting loss because he hasn't fought for a title, but he is a very good fighter. I personally think Johnny Walker wins here. I fully understand people not wanting to commit to him, being afraid to spend money on him because Johnny Walker's not a reliable guy. We have seen him in 5-round fights, you're just staring at people. We've also seen him jump, flip, spin, do all the wildness, knocking people's heads completely off their body. I think Johnny Walker wins. I will have multiple lineups. I'm not going to have a ton of exposure to him because he is unreliable. But if he wins, he should put up some big boy numbers. Then we have the new fight. The new fight of Shara Magomedov taking on Antonio Trocoli. And those are my people. Antonio Trocoli, that's my people. That's my people. I'm picking against my people, though, because Trocoli's getting smoked here. Shara Magomedov is that guy. He will haunt your dreams. If you close your eyes, you think about him for a little too long, you're not going to sleep well. The dude has one eye, way fewer teeth than he should. His hair is crazy. All beard, no mustache, ginger. The guy is nuts to look at. And he fights like a psychopath. He never stops moving. His takedown defense is not great. But once he's on the ground, he doesn't stop. Elbows, kicking, trying to scramble, making stuff happen. He can be taken down, but on the ground, he does not settle in. And on the feet, absolute savage at headhunts. He's got plenty of cardio, plenty of power, and he will look to take your head clean off of your body. He was just cast in a movie as like the main villain, an American movie. Dude doesn't speak English, but they cast him anyway because they're like, look at this psychopath. And that's how he fights. And we're very lucky because he was priced at $8,800. And he had a decent opponent. He was fighting another guy, Jolton, who was supposed to be another kickboxer, somebody that wasn't looking to take him down. So like, okay, high-level kickboxer versus high-level kickboxer. He's still going to be the favorite, but we're not going to price him wildly. And then Antonio Trocoli steps up. He was supposed to fight last week. Lost his opponent to the main event on this card. They just announced this fight last night. Last night was Wednesday night. Even if they figured it out on Tuesday, this guy is flying to the other side of planet Earth on Tuesday to get into a fist fight on Friday or Saturday and cutting weight the whole time. That is not a recipe for success. Trocoli's a grappler. He'll stand there, he'll bomb real quick, but he's a grappler, good grappler. He's going to stand in front of Shara. He's going to eat a big one. He's going to get put out. He's going to get beat. It's just that simple. Trocoli hasn't fought in 3 years. 3 years he hasn't fought. Multiple fights have been booked and then canceled. I wouldn't even count on this fight actually happening with the amount of times Antonio Trocoli has pulled out of a fight in the last couple of years. But either way, good for him for accepting it, flying to the other side of the world, and then probably going to lose on ABC in the middle of the afternoon. But I think Shara makes a lot of sense here, and I think we got a discount on him at $8,800 because the betting odds have him at minus 600, minus 700, depending on your book. And that translates to a much higher price tag than $8,800. Shara Magomedov is the pick, will be in the lineup. Then we have very unreliable, fat-ass, can't-make weight, Kelvin Gastelum. And I called him that because this fight was supposed to be at welterweight. It was supposed to be, wow, he's training with Henry Cejudo, doing the right things, losing the weight, taking his career seriously, finally. And this dumb, fat dickhead had the fight moved to middleweight because he can't make the weight. I had a bad camp. I'm not able to cut. It's a joke. It's a joke. Kelvin Gastelum is all talent and no hard work. All talent. The guy's got a granite chin, powerful hands, Division I college wrestling. He's a very good fighter. I know it was a long time ago, but he gave Israel Adesanya everything he could. He was in a war with Robert Whittaker. Like, this guy is a gamer. He can fight anybody on any day, and he's been doing it at a high level at the wrong weight class. Finally goes down to welterweight, supposed to be that guy. Rededicated. Great fight with Chris Curtis. Then he gets out-wrestled by Sean Brady? Dude, I don't even think Sean Brady wrestled in middle school. You got out-wrestled by that guy? You were a Division I wrestler. Kelvin Gastelum's not a guy that you can trust. Especially not at $8,900. He beat Chris Curtis. He scored 67 points. I do think Kelvin wins this fight. But I'm not putting him in my lineup. Not at this price tag. He's taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez coming off a little bit of a suspension for some steroids. He doesn't look like that guy, so it might be a tainted supplement situation because he's not jacked. He's a little soft. But he's a very good striker. Clean, accurate striking. Has a little bit of power there. Tough guy. Will move forward. Will make something happen. If he's not worried about the takedowns, he hits a nice flow state. Plenty of cardio, can fight. If he does start to worry about the takedowns, it sucks the energy right out of him. And people who look to take him down can. That Neil Magny fight, he should have won that fight. He made 10 stupid mistakes to lose that fight. Should have won that fight. Didn't win that fight. But he is a very good striker overall. He did just get finished by Ian Gary in his last fight last May. I don't think Daniel Rodriguez wins this fight. He'll have to keep distance. Pot shot. He's not going to finish Kelvin Gastelum, not with that chin. And I just don't think it's going to happen. So Kelvin Gastelum is going to be the pick, but not at the way that he scores points in DraftKings because that's an absolute atrocity. Then we have Sergei Pavlovich taking on teammate Alexander Volkov. They are teammates. Volkov has said publicly, I've never won a round. He hit so hard. First of all, I don't believe what they say. I think he's just a good guy that's saying nice things about his teammate. What's he going to say? Yeah, I beat this dude. I take him down constantly. He's got chicken legs, and I take him down whenever I want to. Of course he's not going to say that. Of course he's not going to say that. He's a good dude saying nice things about his training partner. I don't believe anything the fighters say when they talk about each other like that. With that being said, we got Sergei Pavlovich. Maybe the hardest hitter in this division. Certainly one of the fastest heavyweights on the planet. Maybe the hardest hitting heavyweight on the planet. And he's a dangerous guy. But he did just get knocked out to a short notice Tom Aspinall. Before that, knocked out Curtis Blades, knocked out Tai Tuivasa, knocked out Derek Lewis. He's knocking everybody out, and he's doing it very, very quickly. So we don't know what this fight's going to look like in round 2 or 3 if it gets there. I do know if Sergei wins, he will score well. Look at these astronomical numbers they have given him. I also know he's fighting the best fighter he's ever fought. Alexander Volkov has been a top 10 heavyweight on the planet for about 10 years. He's fought some of the best people that ever walked the face of this earth. He's 6'7". He's a very good kickboxer, has very good grappling, and high fight IQ. The last time he was knocked out was by Derek Lewis with 1 minute left in the fight after he absolutely dominated Derek Lewis. Just at the last minute, made a little bit of a mistake, overcommitted to something, got cracked insanely hard. Outside of that, he's fought an absolute who's who of multiple divisions. He was out-wrestled by Tom Aspinall. Cyril Gane fought for the title. Cyril Gane, phenomenal kickboxer, lost the decision in 5 rounds over there. Curtis Blades, best wrestler in the heavyweight division, lost that fight. Derek Lewis, as I mentioned, he was absolutely dog-walking that guy and then ate a big one. I think Alexander Volkov wins this fight. I fully understand he can get knocked out cold. I get it. Pavlovich has that power. But I think Volkov is just too tall, too long. And I think the fact that they've trained together only helps Volkov. Because he knows if I can lean on him, I can wear down the arms, I can take him down, I can work from there. And I think that's what Volkov's going to do. He's a very high IQ fighter, and he makes stuff happen. The problem is, when we talk about DraftKings fantasy, heavyweights are tricky because whoever wins this fight is going to score a ton of points, and whoever loses is going to score none. So you're taking a real big risk. I think you need some exposure to Volkov and some exposure to Pavlovich because the winner's going to score a ton of points, the loser will not. But either way, if you have the correct person in your lineup, I imagine that person will be an optimal. I'm going to have a couple lineups. One of them will have Volkov in it. I think the size difference, the fight IQ difference, the fighting at a high level for much longer, I think that matters. Pavlovich's going to be insanely dangerous early, and then I think Volkov, if he's able to survive, which he might not, most people haven't, if he is able to survive early, I think he can start to take over, grind a little bit, and make something happen. I'm picking Volkov. My exposure to him in DraftKings is going to be minimal. And then we have the main event of the evening. What I will tell you is pick your side. Robert Whittaker is an all-timer at middleweight. He is the former middleweight world champion. I thought he beat Israel Adesanya in their rematch in 2022. And he's a guy that's come out here, fought some of the best in the world, and beaten most of them. He's really only lost to Izzy Andrikis in the last 6 years or something absurd like that. And the Dricus loss is what was surprising to me. Because I was positive he was going to beat Dricus du Plessis. I was absolutely positive. And then he got dropped with the jab. Then he got kind of manhandled a little bit. And then he ended up getting finished in the second round. It was the worst he's looked, frankly. Even in that first fight with Izzy where he got knocked out, it's because he was charging in and got caught. And that's not what happened with Dricus. Dricus just moved forward. Dricus bullied Robert and beat Robert up. Robert Whittaker's a very good striker with very good takedown defense and takedown offense. He's a very well-rounded guy. I love him, one of my favorite fighters. I don't know if he wins this fight. And there's 2 schools of thought here. One is Ikram Aliskerov has 15 wins with 12 first-round stoppages or something crazy like that. His only loss is to Khamzat Chimaev. And the other school of thought is his record is hollow bullshit. Phil Hawes has no chin, hasn't had a chin. Oh, you knocked out a chinny dude. Great, congratulations. Wartley Alves is a welterweight. Congratulations, you knocked out a fat, old welterweight. Congratulations to you. I'm not in that school of thought. My logic here is that Ikram is very good. He does have power, and we're all forgetting that he's just a nasty, nasty wrestler. And I get Robert Whittaker was training for a wrestler in Khamzat, but I think Robert Whittaker's whole game plan was weather the storm and I'll be fine. Because we've seen Khamzat fade. And I think his game plan was, let me just strike with him. Khamzat's striking is not very good. Ikram's striking is very good. And I think Ikram could have some success here. I think Robert Whittaker's chin is very much so on the decline. We watched him eat a spinning back kick to Paulo Costa in his last fight. We watched him get dropped by a jab in the fight before that. I think Robert Whittaker's chin is just succumbing to nature. He's getting older. He's been in some wars. This is not a forgiving fight. I think things are starting to go downhill for Robert Whittaker, unfortunately, because I love that guy. I think Ikram wins this fight, but you need to pick your side in your DraftKings lineup because this is a 5-round fight potentially. Whoever wins this fight is going to score some good points. Robert Whittaker will dance around, land clean, make some stuff happen, or Ikram Aliskerov will probably put him out early, take advantage of that chin. Short notice, Lots of weird factors in this fight. You pick your side, guys. That is my breakdown. I'm here on vacation. My family's in the other room. My wife walked in here pissed as shit, by the way, because I'm filming this. So if you could do me a favor, like, subscribe. If you want, become a premium member. You will unlock the DraftKings ownership projections. You will join this community that has won almost $600,000 in the last 8 months. You will get the optimizer and a million other things. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. It is only $10 for an entire month.